Jen Ayers is a mega talented singer-songwriter who has written and is about to debut She Said, a deeply personal full-length musical about love, family, and gender identity based on Jen's own life.
I'm Jen Ayers, and I'm a singer and a songwriter. I'm a pianist. And I'm an actor, and now I'm even some hybrid of playwright. I grew up in Wisconsin in the 70s, and my mom and dad bought an upright piano, and one morning my mom woke up to me playing the melody to Hello, Dolly on the piano and signed me up for lessons. And I was classically trained on the piano, but I also loved to sing. I sang all the time. In high school, I sang so much that my friends in the car would, they'd humor me for a little bit and then tell me to stop. I moved here in the early 90s. I moved here with girlfriends. We got a rental house on Queen Anne. One of the reasons I moved here was because of the music scene, and my boyfriend moved here a year later, and we started a band, and I've been playing music here ever since.
You think you're getting ahead, I'm just standing at my front door.
I met Graham in 1988 at college orientation. He was sitting behind me, and I turned around, and he was looking at me, and we smiled. And I turned back around and, it was sort of that spark at first sight. We were together probably since that moment, and we lived together for a few years and then got married.
Remember how we ruled the world. You and I ran free, just you and me. You and me.
He's very fun and loyal and smart. I think he's one of the most creative people I know, and supportive. As creative people and as adventurers, because we really are adventurers, who had big dreams and wanted to do lots of different things, we could be honest with one another about what we wanted to do in life, as crazy as something might be, and that we could share that with each other and count on each other to either, embrace that idea together or give each other the space to do it. I think as musicians and artists, we weren't living a traditional 9-to-5 life, and so, guys wearing makeup is not a big deal. Guys in eyeliner are all over the place in rock clubs across the country. I think it was a gig in Ohio that we had on Halloween, and Graham said, I want to dress in drag. And so, got him fishnets, and we found this little black dress, and he put on little cat ears and got some high heel shoes. It was great, and Graham looked great. And I didn't really think anything at all about that. It's just expression, and as artists, that's what we do. Graham might say to me, I feel like I have a female brain, and I relate to women so well. Sometimes I feel like a woman inside. And this was years ago. I would say to Graham, well, that's why I love you. And then we'd move on. It wasn't until we went out this one night for Halloween, and Graham was dressed as a beautiful Cleopatra, and we were at the end of the night, and we were having fun, and we were looking into the mirror together, and my partner said into the mirror, I think I'm looking at my real self for the first time, after I told her she was pretty. But yeah, and it still was a moment of, oh, and then the next day it was a question of, oh, well, now what?
High heels in hiding, a shadow dancing in dark places.
I first met Jen at the Triple Door when I was shooting a show that she was in called House of the Unholy. Yeah, we became friends and we quickly started talking about working together. Very early on when Jen and I were collaborating, we were actually writing a different story. It was a story to do with the matriarchy and her family, and it was based on an album she had made that I thought was very theatrical. But at the same time, this gigantic thing was happening in her life and her marriage and her family, and of course as friends, we were talking about it, and she started playing me the songs that she was writing about it.
What we got is a love so strong. I thank God every day that you came along.
We both knew we had to make the show about this, and not about the past, but about what she was living at the time. And to be doing such a personal story that's so compelling, but that also was like a very experimental writing process, because we didn't know what would happen in the second act when we were writing the first act, because it hadn't happened yet in real life. So there have been some twists and turns we never could have imagined at the outset.
Sorting this all out on the piano was therapy. I just had so many thoughts running through my mind, so many emotions, and I would just sit at the piano and write and record. And over time, all of that took shape and became songs, became a story. And this was the first time where I wasn't sure that we would make it as a married couple. I knew we'd always be best friends and we would be parents to our son. But this is probably the first time that I did have that thought of, whoa, what if we don't make it?
Mm-hmm.
Was that
I still
Forest
have a
Park
picture
or
that's
whatever? I don't know. It was like down at the working title for a long time of this project was This Picture. But for somebody who knows nothing about the project, those two words weren't necessarily saying a lot. And so the idea is now that we have She Said, and the S and the H delineated as she, he. And the story is being told. It's being told by a woman.
Who am I to you? What makes you think you can talk the way you do? And who are you anyway? I wanna hide my face from the voices shouting all around. Sometimes I just wanna fall to the ground and shield my eyes from this disguise and blow away. High heels and hiding.
Telling the story was a way to sort of sort it out for myself, but also it seemed an important story to tell.
Remember how we roared like lions? The world was ours to see, just you and me.
I want people to understand and know that, like, I love my transgender partner. And family, families come in all shapes and sizes. And here we are.
It started as exclusively a show, like a one-woman show. And then Jen was like, well, maybe it should be an album, and then that brings us to now.
So you find yourself waking in the night. Your dreams are telling me you're not alright.
It needed to work as a whole piece. But also, I think it needed to work as individual songs, It was obviously about this particular situation that they're living in. But I think that you could individually take these songs and make them about whatever is happening in your relationship to. It really does have a universal sentiment. It's intense for them to be so open about this stuff. I think it's a gift to all of us.
I had questions of, if I'm married to a woman, am I now a lesbian?
Princess Leia.
There were questions of looking at my partner in a new way, or in a fuller way, in a more honest way. I realized a lot about love. What I realized is I love this person that is my partner, and that will never change. And that Graham's exploration of self doesn't define who I am. And I think the opportunities I was able to take to just really explore myself outside of our marriage just made me stronger and gave me a larger ability to love my partner back. Graham's just Graham to me, and Graham feels good inside, and it's really easy to love your partner when they're feeling good and liking themselves and living their dream and doing what they love, and that's how I'm experiencing life with my partner right now. I have a happy partner, and that makes me a happy partner.
She Said runs October 6th through 9 at Broadway Performance Hall. Ticket information is at jenayersmusic.com. And pick up the She Said soundtrack on vinyl, CD, or digitally on Bandcamp. Catch Art Zone Friday nights at 8 and anytime online at seattle.gov/artzone.